Hello, everybody. That is not the right charger. There we go. All right, let's get this all situated. Let's get on my iPad. If you are stopping by, drop a quick comment just to say hello. So, let's see what I can do about this. All right, I think that's about as good as we're going to get for today. Could probably also bring this out a little closer to me. All right, we are going to have some crafty fun today with an older set that is currently in stock on the website. So I think that'll be nice and fun. I used this set once before, and I want to say the last time I used it was the summer of 2019. So it has been a minute. I cannot believe this set has to be at least 5 years old, because I usually reach for some newer stuff, but I thought it would be fun to reach for an oldie but goodie. So we're going to get coloring in just a second. But if you're stopping by, drop a quick comment just to say hello. Got all these little bits and bobs on my craft space. Around. Carefully put them away while we get ready to get started. I hope everyone's having a fantastic Saturday. I have spent mine doing some little errands around the house and also getting some much needed crafting done. So that has been a good time. So let's go in. Let's start getting some images colored up. So the set that I'm going to be working with today, I know you can see a very little bit of it. We're going to be using the Stay Wild stamp set. It's a 3x4 currently in stock on the website. Don't think there's a bunch of these left. I believe when I checked earlier, there was maybe 10 remaining. But 10 is still a strong enough number that I'm like, you know what, let's play around with it a little bit. So this image, or this stamp set rather, features two images. We've got our little police officer bunny, and we've got her slick fox friend. And we're gonna be using both of them today. I am gonna color up the fox with y'all, but I do have the bunny already colored up in advance. I will be sure to post a little blog post after my live. In the blog post, I will include the Copic color combinations that I used for the little bunny. So you guys will have that to play around with. But let's get coloring to our little fox. So zoom in just a little bit. And one thing that I find kind of interesting when I'm crafting, there are two animals that kind of leave me stumped when it comes to coloring. So I'm going to talk through this, but first color is E18, which is copper. And those two animals that kind of leave me stumped are foxes and pigs. And the reason for that is I always seem to change up what marker combination I feel is best fit for them. I was coloring up some non-Kindred stamp images earlier today, and they did include some fox images, and I colored 4 of them, and I colored them 2 different ways. And the ways that I colored them up have nothing to do with the way that I'm coloring this guy up. So I just constantly am changing. Pigs are the other one too that kind of throw me through a loop, because everyone thinks like pigs are pink, and they are kind of pink, but pigs are more flesh colored, like Caucasian sort of flesh colored. So I try to keep in mind when I'm coloring humans, what techniques that I'm using, and I relay that over to when I'm coloring up pigs. So foxes and pigs give me a little bit of a struggle, but we manage. All right, so we're gonna go in, color up the tail portion. All right, just like that. And I hope you all are having a fantastic Saturday. Thank you so much for stopping by. Like I said, drop a quick comment to say hello. Let me know what you're up to today, if it's something crafty or not. Weekends don't have to be made for crafting. Crafting can be done at any time, or you're just taking a little break for yourself, because I understand that too. We're moving on. This is E09, which is burnt sienna. I have kind of been making my way through a lot of the e-markers recently. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram. I have been posting some coloring progress photos, and I've been working on some sets, older and newer, a lot of Kindred, that I haven't really had a chance to create with at all or in a very long while. So I just colored my way through the retired limited edition kit set of Part of a Pride, and I played with a lot of different earth tone markers, so the E markers, in order to get those images colored up. We're gonna move on to some YR27. It's been a great opportunity though to play around with those, and I do have some ideas for what I want to do with cards, but right now my crafting docket is a little filled with things. I've got to, of course, I know you guys saw that Audra announced earlier this week that we have a zany virtual retreat planned for y'all. And I'm so excited. Not only am I doing coloring videos like I've been doing for a handful of the most recent kits, but I'm also doing a class that I'm teaching 3 cards. So that's going to be super fun. I'm kind of leaning into a style that I don't do super often. We're moving on to YR16, which is apricot. So I'll be doing some clean and simple cards. So kind of leaning into white space or the emptier space on your cards. I have some really fun stuff planned for y'all. So we're going to have definitely some fun with that. And this is my second to last color. I love that we're really getting those nice shadows in. These shadows work really good for the orange color of the fox. And let's finish up with some YR14, then we'll check comments. I think I'm missing a couple comments, so I will check those shortly. But you guys, we have so much fun planned for this retreat for y'all. And I know that Audra is leaving registration up for, I want to say it closes in a little over a week. I think she said when she announced it on Monday, it was open for 2 weeks. Now don't hold me to that. Check the listing if you're going back and forth if you haven't signed up yet. Check the listing for exact dates of when you would need to sign up by, because I don't want you latching onto the information I'm giving you right now if you're going to make a decision later on. All right, so we've got him begun to be colored up. Let's check some comments. Oh, there we go, Duke. Why is this not showing me any comments? All right, let's go out. Let's go back in. Why are we? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to see comments, and Facebook is not wanting me to see them today. So we're gonna go, let's see what I can do. I know I can go into the fan club. Because I wanna make sure that I'm talking with y'all. Why? This is weird. See, Facebook keeps changing the ways that they do Facebook Lives and seeing comments and whatnot. And that is a little frustrating. So I cannot see y'all's comments. I think I'm gonna have to go and grab my laptop. That's okay, I can do that. Let me do that real quick because I don't wanna leave y'all hanging. Normally I'm able to just use my iPad and it shows me everything, but I guess not today. So let me, off to the side, set up my laptop. My goodness, it's always something with social media, isn't it? All right, we're gonna go on. All right, we're getting there. Oh, come on. Sorry about the delay. Here we go. All right, Christy says she's excited about the upcoming retreat. Hello, Gwen. Oh, cinnamon caramel latte. That sounds fun. That sounds like a lot of fun, Gwen. I could use a cinnamon caramel latte. Hello, Jessica. Graduation cards sound fun. And Christy, I didn't say good morning to you. You made 2 comments already, but good morning, good morning. All right, we're gonna go in. We're gonna color this up a second time. I'm looking on my computer screen right now. And let's see. I'm looking at my laptop rather. And my image is showing up on the screen a little more darker than what it actually is. So this is going to be a little bit more of a vibrant blend than what my screen is showing. And I apologize for that. I have my lights on and everything, so maybe it's just a little dark in my craft space today. That's okay. Oh, Gwen, I do love this set too. You never know. I know that Audra's been giving us some releases. I know nothing about this one, I promise. I also would love to see maybe an update to this set. You never know. Never know. And like me right now, I really don't know. But this is fun. I love this. I love this fox, but I love the rabbit in this movie. So many fun characters. But I know we've got some fun stuff coming down the pipeline that might be a little unexpected. Can't really give too many details, but there's always fun stuff happening with our releases, right? Just kind of color in that ear space. All right, and then I probably should have just done his ears shadow where his ears connect to his head and not also that top band, but it's okay. It works. Y'all, this is trippy. I see myself coloring and then I have 2 screens, one in front of me and one to my left, also showing my hand coloring, and I'm just like, there's too many screens. Just like that. Perfect. Now let's color in the end of his tail and the end of his ears. We're going to do a 3-color blend starting with E27. And then let's do some E25. Finish this off with some E23. I'm actually, with the second time I color this through, I'm going to darken this a little bit. But I'll tell you how I'm going to do that in a second, because I probably should have grabbed a darker color to start with, but we're good, we're good. That's why I love coloring with Copics, because especially, I always like to start by making my colors lighter, because it's really easy to go in and darken them up if you need to. So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and grab that E18 color, which is what I used for the shadow for my image. I'm going to use that. It's what I have in front of me. We're going to use that as the shadow of this brown color, but instead of them using it to go into the oranges that we just did, we're going to repeat these colors that we used for the top of his ears and his tail bush. So we're going to do some E27. And I always encourage you, if you're coloring with alcohol markers, you don't have to stay within a direct color like group or series. Like for example, I'm doing a lot of E2s for this blend, and that was my original plan, but I can pull in that E18, which isn't the same color group, but it can still help color up your project the way that you need it to be. So I often like to go across color families in my blend. For example, sometimes when I want to color up something that's in predominantly the violet color group, I might actually use shadows or my darker colors, maybe part of the blue-violet group. And then I can go into violet. So it works. I like doing it that way, but you do what works best for you. Let's color up his nose. We're going to do some T7. And then we'll do some T5. And some T3. I have found recently, I think that the T grays are the ones that I do reach for the most. I used to only exclusively color with cool grays and warm grays. I didn't really understand, well, why do you need the other grays? Because they're like not as intense, and that's exactly why you need them. Because sometimes when you're coloring up with grays, you don't want it to be super warm, or you don't want it to have that blue tinge when you're using a cool gray. And that's really what the toner grays and the neutral grays give you. So hence, I've started to use them quite a bit. All right, what are we grabbing for next? Let's do his mouth area and his ears. So we're gonna do E55. This is gonna be like a lighter brown color. Do E55 inside his ears. Hello, Ava. Oh, and Jessica, you are more than welcome. That is what I'm here for. Okay, you want to talk about coloring tips. I just recently kind of started to change the way that I'm stamping out images that I want to color. And I'm very happy with what I came up with. I have had for a little while one of those grip mats, which are, it's basically like one solid clear stamp. And our clear stamps and I'm going to use something similar later in this live, so you'll get an idea what I'm talking about. But there's a company that makes grip mats that fit inside of your Misty. And I've had one for quite some time, like months, and it's just been sitting on my desk. I have a couple of them in different sizes, and for whatever reason, this one I've just been like, oh, like it's a little bit bigger. I don't need it all the time, so it's just kind of sat to the side. Well, I remember that when it was launched, it was discussed that it would fit inside of your Misty and would take the place of that foam mouse pad that's in there. And I was like, okay, well, I know we all can't be resourceful like this. And when I say that's not what I'm about to say in a second, you'll understand I'm not being disrespectful when I say that, or have the resources is more so what I mean. I have an extra Misty that I could designate for just this one tool. And so I put it in there, and y'all, it holds my paper perfectly in place. I don't have to use magnets. And then I've also combined it with a pressure tool. I've never really used the pressure tool too often with my Misty because I found that sometimes I felt like it kind of smushes your image, depending on if you've got like fine detail in it. For whatever reason, and it's got to be because this grip mat really holds the paper in place and doesn't allow it to move, combining it with a pressure tool just gives me like the best stamped out images. So that's how I've started. Really, this has just been about the last week, but I've been very happy with how it's been going, how I'm stamping out images that I want to color with my Copics. So I do have now, this might sound a little bougie, but I do have a designated Misty that I will only be using to stamp out images to then color. But you don't have to do it that way because you can remove the mat. But this way I figure, well, I have an extra one, so now I don't have to remove the mat. So that's what I'm doing. Gwen, yep, waffle flower, yep. And hello, Chris. All right, we're gonna color up his t-shirt. Now his t-shirt actually has some designs on it. I want to say it's got like leaves, like little like palm leaves and whatnot. I'm not going to be adding those details. That's one thing that like I've always wanted to improve on is adding little bits and bob with detail to your colored up projects. And I think a great way to do that is with colored pencils on top of your Copic coloring. I just need a little bit more practice. And realistically, this is a small enough space on this image that I'm not overly concerned about it. And YG11. But I was stamping out some images earlier today, and I think my alcohol marker safe ink pad is in need of a re-inking because I feel like I'm having to stamp my images one or two more times than I feel I should have to, but it's still doing the job great. I love it. Oh, I'm glad that you love them, Christy. They really do help. I love that they've been introduced. And it's kind of interesting because, like, I don't know all the inner workings of how they were designed necessarily, but it's almost like, to me, it's like someone realized one day, like, oh, like, as a company, we have these mats, and they're basically like our stamps, but it's just like one big stamp. And they realized, like, a use for that, and I think it's just a really innovative way to kind of stretch something we're already sort of familiar with. All right, so let's see, what do we got next? We've got, we're gonna color up his khakis, and then we'll do his tie last. So we're gonna start with some E44. I also recently, I was just talking with somebody the other day about investing in things in our craft space that we find out we use a lot and how they're worth it. Excuse me. And I feel like it's really easy for us to kind of get on with like, oh, the trend of this, the trend of that. And you get it, and whatever it is, we can talk about a lot of different its. But there's always sort of trends happening, and those are always fun and stretches our creativity. But it's really fun when something hits the market that's more along the lines of like a tool that sort of changes the shape of how things have been done. And like I'm talking, like I'm going to be using my Misty glue press in a second, and I feel like that definitely is one of those items. I mean, we're talking about the Misty in general. People weren't stamping with that before, you know. I know there's other products that came out that were similar to that. But the idea, like, there was a time when people, when they were crafting and they were stamping out images, you had to rely on one impression. And now we don't have, like, one stamp because you couldn't get it in the exact space again. We're going to move on. We're going to do some V28, which is eggplant. And now we don't have to do that. We're kind of, because we're able to use products that hold our paper in place for us along with our stamps. And I love it. I do love it. That's V25. We'll do some V22 and some V20. I love his little purple tie. I love that he's wearing a tie. I don't know why. I really can't even explain why I find it so dang adorable. But he's just, I love him as a character. He's great. Probably my favorite. I say because there's some really great characters, so maybe I'm just needing to do a reevaluation of everybody, but V20. All right, perfect. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna take my markers, put them off to the side for now. Let's see, am I missing? See, so there's just some different things that work, you know? So I see that you get it too, Christy. Ooh. Okay. My computer screen started to have the wheel of death, and I'm just like, So let's go in. Let's fussy cut this guy out. Oh, thanks so much, Gwen. I tell you, Facebook has not been very helpful lately with facilitating lives. I read recently too that they've done an update. This is something with lives and streaming that I haven't really got into, just because I haven't made myself familiar with the process, but it's something I've been considering in the future about doing like a streamed live, which is when you're able to basically put your content across multiple platforms at once. So you could like do a Facebook live and also stream it to like your YouTube channel, you know, different places, or maybe an Instagram live. I know YouTube and Facebook are the big ones that I was thinking about. I'm sure there's other ones, but I've heard recently that Facebook is like changing privacy policies or something like that, where streaming is going to be harder to do in private groups, because they want to keep streamed content like a public thing, which I guess makes sense. So I don't think it's going to be something I'm going to be able to do for y'all here, since we are in a private group, but that's okay. I haven't been doing it as of late anyways. But it's something I've been thinking about, but I have been trying to make it a habit to, after my Facebook Lives, I can download the live and upload the video to my YouTube channel so y'all can watch the replay there, rather than having to like search in the group, because sometimes that can be a little hard. But we do also have an album in the Facebook group dedicated for anybody who does a Facebook Live. They upload their projects there, and excuse me, and then like I know I always link where you can find the blog post, or you can find the Facebook Live link and watch the replay. So that's great. I'll just cut this a little bit. There we go. All right. So we've got our fox, and we've got his little bunny friend. Awesome. Okay, so part of what I wanted to do today is that I wanted to combine an older set with some newer products. So I wanted to lay out what my idea is. So first and foremost, I do want to use the Welcome to the Jungle paper pack. I have it stored just in a little Ziploc bag. I already have the design I want to use die cut out. So I want to use, it's this pattern right here with the leaves on it. I just think it's going to work really well with these guys. So we're going to use them. But I like to map it out, everything in advance. What I'm going to also do is I want to map this onto some orange glitter paper, just to give it a little bit of glitz. So we're going to do that. And then what I'm going to do is I've got the wild word die cut that I want to use. So I thought it would be fun to do like wild up here and then have these two like on the bottom. I'm just going to figure out how I want to place them, because I don't want them to overlap the word too much, because I kind of wanted it in the center. But if I do that, it really sort of overtakes these critters. I don't really want that. So I'm thinking of doing it like this, and then maybe her down here, because then you can still see the gist of the letters. But we're going to do so we're going to jazz up that a little bit, and then I'm going to use the sentiment between them. We're going to have sentiment strip, and it's going to say, "Get your hustle on." I thought that was cute and fun. So, but it's gonna be more than this. This is just kind of the gist of what we're working with right now. But we will get there. That's kind of a rough idea of what we're looking with, but it's gonna be a lot prettier. So let's get into that. Let's get this ready. So I wanna work with, I can get my whole background ready realistically. We're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take my Misty Precision Glue Press right now, and I die cut this using the large stitched rectangle from the Card Basics set. It does trim your card panel down to 4 by 5.25 inches. So on each side, you're about 1/4 of an inch shorter than A2 size. A2 is 4.25 by 5.5. So I'm gonna go ahead and adhere it to this glitter paper, this orange glitter paper, and the orange glitter paper is trimmed down to about 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, roughly. So I'm just gonna kind of push it into play. I have recently been really leaning into glitter paper quite a bit. And my go-to, I don't have it in front of me, but I use scrapbook.com glitter paper. You get a lot of pages. They have a couple different styles of packs that you can get. There's like a metallic, there's a rainbow. This is the orange from the rainbow pack. I'll be sure to link it once my live is done so you guys can look into it. But I just thought it would pair so perfectly with this print from the Welcome to the Jungle paper pack. And when I'm doing like jungle sort of wild patterns, I go one of two ways. I always like to incorporate green to some extent, or unless we're doing like a Serengeti sort of feel, because Serengeti to me is very warm tones and browns. But I like to either do jungle with green and like going earthy and do like greens and browns, or I like to go like the citrus route, and I like to do my oranges, my yellows, my greens, maybe throw in a pink here and there, but just citrus colors I think cause some really nice vibrant projects. So we've got our panel all situated. We will set that aside for a little bit from now. Let's go in. I have a grip mat that I wanted to use because we are going to blend up this word dye. And I've got this small paper inking palette. That's what this is called. And it's, like I said, like one of those grip mats that we were talking about. I want to just quickly put it down, and we're going to use it to blend up this wild die cut. Now, the reason I'm using it for this die cut, I don't use these grip mats for all of my ink blending, but I have found that they do a really good job holding your dies in place, or your die cuts in place, if they've got some like more narrow areas, so it's harder to ink blend. So we're gonna go ahead, and I use this just to add some pressure to it. We're gonna go in, let's start with some dried marigold. I'm just gonna kind of go in and start to darken this up. And so we started with the yellow, and now we're going in with some dried marigold. See, now for whatever reason, this one is grippy, but it's just not holding the way that I would like it to. That's okay. Next, we're gonna go in with some carved pumpkin and just kind of darken up that bottom edge, just like this. Just really get that ombre going. And then we're gonna finish off, we're gonna make it a little bit darker and a little bit more vibrant. We're gonna use some ripe persimmon. I said I don't know if persimmons are considered citrus or not, but it's orangey red to me. And I just love how it gets added to this. All right, so we're gonna go in. We've got this wild all blended up on the bottom. And all right, let's do a little bit of cleanup. I'll wipe off my mat. So we're gonna clean that real quick. And then I actually lost my acetate sheets for this. So luckily I've got acetate just as like a craft supply, and I was able to trim it down to this, and it works perfectly. Unless that's the reason why it's not so grippy. Who knows? Stay tuned. All right, let's see. Refresh the screen, see if I'm missing anything. I think we're good. All right, so I also wanted to go ahead, and I have some sparkle silk. I just wanted to kind of add it to this. Give it a little bit of glitz. Just like that. All right. And we'll do maybe a little bit. There, awesome. All right, I'm gonna set this aside to dry. Wipe this off a little bit. And then I'll just see if I could, oh, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to flip it. Why did we flip the camera? Oops, sorry, guys. All right, well, at least that kind of reset the space. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. What's Sparkle Spritz? It's called Sparkle Silk. It's from Spellbinders. It comes in like this little nail polish bottle, and it's got a little brush in there, just like a nail polish bottle would, and you can just kind of splatter it onto your project. So it works really nicely. Chris, you watched a bit of done in this. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, I'm going to start doing that. That map probably needs a little bit of that. So I appreciate the insight. While that's drying, let's work on our sentiment strip. And see, there's another Misty that I have. I'm going to use, so I've got already a die cut sentiment strip from orange paper. And I'm just going to line this up on the bottom using the magnets. Just like that. And then we're going to use the sentiment of Get Your Hustle On. Oh, look, I have some colored up already. Huh, didn't know I had those. That would have been helpful. You know what, though? Here, you know what's interesting, though? You can see, so this is probably from like 4 or 5 years ago, and you can see just the difference in coloring, which is kind of interesting. You see a lot of different shading going on with it, so, huh. There you go. Oh, that's always interesting to see, just so you see how you change and don't change at the same time. Remain consistent, but adapt to new techniques. All right, let's see. We're gonna go ahead, I've got my anti-static tool, and then we're gonna go in with an embossing ink pad. I think the sentiment is hysterical. It's like a, if you know, you know. All right, get your hustle on. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead, get my tweezers ready, set this off to the side, grab a piece of paper and some snowfall embossing powder. Awesome. Now I do recommend, if you're going to heat emboss on these dies, the sentiment strip die, I would make sure to give your panel a nice tap because sometimes that embossing powder likes to hide in the stitching. And just like a little bit of an extra tap helps get it out of there. That's also why I like to use the anti-static tools, just because that also helps not get any of that stickage. All right, let's go ahead. That looks pretty good. Did I get it over there? I think I did. Try not to touch it too until you know it's cooled off. If you need a little help cooling it off, just wave it. Just like that. Now, I did use snowfall embossing powder, which sometimes someone might say that white is a little light to go on orange, and honestly, I kind of agree with you, but I was gonna go in just with my residual ink on my right persimmon pad or embossing or ink blending tool, and just sort of dress up the bottom of this, ink blend it, give it a little bit of a darker color. And I thought it would really also help that white snowfall embossing powder pop. So we're just gonna kind of blend it like that. And then because when you emboss, it resists ink, especially if you're using something like an oxide, you can just go in and brush it off. Just like that. Perfect. And now I've got a little ink blended sentiment strip. Super cute, super fun. Okay, now I also want to start getting my word die cut ready. So I wanted to outline it very lightly in white. So I have it die cut a second time in white. And my thought process is, now there's a lot of loops, so I gotta make sure that I'm doing this okay. I just want it to very lightly be offset, and that'll kind of help it pop a little bit more. So I've gotta put glue on the back of my ink blended die cut. So let's go in, just kind of do a light amount of glue, sort of tracing out the image. Just like this. I like playing with word die cuts, especially when it comes to stacking them. And when I say stacking them, it means taking the same die cut and like adhering it directly on top of it. And that creates like a perfect dimension without the needed use of foam tape. I like doing offset die cuts, which is what we're doing right now. So I have a lot of fun when it comes to word dies with different sort of layering techniques. All right, so let's see. I don't want to offset it too much, just a little bit, just to give a little bit of that white peek through, and it just helps give a little bit of extra pop to the on top die cut. Okay, and we also have to do the eye, the dot for the eye, but we'll do that in a second. I'm not too worried about that. That's the one thing with word die cuts or letter die cuts that always seems to drive me a little bonkers is keeping track of the dot for the eye. Because I get it. You gotta have letters look correct. But sometimes those little itty bitty dots are like the bane of my crafty existence. But it's okay. Not complaining. Just stating my process. All right, so I'm putting it on top of a vellum. Now we do have a really nice selection of word die cuts for Kindred stamps. And they come with these outline dies. Most of them do, especially if it's just one word. Like we used to have I put a spell on you. That one didn't have the outline because it was a full statement. But we've got these nice outline dies so you can do things like put vellum underneath them to help make them pop. And I'm a big proponent of vellum. I use vellum a lot, because I like how it doesn't, it still absorbs the background of your project and doesn't make it entirely blocked out, but it does sort of blur the background so that it can pop. All right, while we're letting that set, let's see. Let's go ahead, set this off to the side. And now, okay, I've got my little circles in here for my eyes. Let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll adhere it. I'm not doing any ink blending with these. They're already towards the top of it where it's yellow anyways. I feel like it would just frustrate me. So we're gonna just lightly offset. What though? Now that I'm looking, they're not circles, they're more like ovals. So I have to do it more exact. It's like these little dots are getting the last laugh. That's okay, that's okay. They're like, see now what you gotta do? You thought it was easy. It's okay, we got it. So we're just gonna put it into place. Yep, no ink blending required. I could probably move it down just a smidge. Put this on top. All right, perfect. Well, I'm glad that you like the vellum too, Christy. It's great. I think vellum is fantastic. Okay. So we really can start mapping things out then. So I think what I'm going to do, I want to just quickly test my background. I think I'm going to just adhere it directly to a white card base, but I want to make sure. So I can just put it right on here and get a nice little white frame. And I do like that. Actually, we'll make sure it's the right direction. But I also could adhere it on top of green paper. I don't think I need the green paper. Do I need that? No. I'm going to say no. We're just going to do right on white. So we're going to do that. So I am going to take my background. I've really been leaning into that white frame and utilizing your card base as part of your project. And I feel like sometimes like, should you keep doing that? I'm like, but if you like how it looks, go for it. You know? All right. Perfect. Nudge that just a little bit, I think. All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, so now let's play around with our layout. So I think it's gonna say wild up here. Wild. Get your hustle on. I like that. Do I want her on the other side? Then it says like, get your hustle on in the center. That looks cute. I think I like them together though. So do I do it like that? Oh, that's cute. Because then you can see that it says wild. Okay, we're gonna go that way. Awesome. Just kind of play around with the different settings, you know, have some fun. But now with the use of vellum, you kind of got to be careful because vellum, you can see adhesive if you push it down. So I have to very carefully put all of my adhesive behind the areas that I have already put the wild die cut on top of. That's why I'm using kind of like a combination of dots and lines. All right, I think that's good. We'll see. Stay tuned. We're gonna just kind of map it out, make sure everything is good to go. So we'll say wild up there. That's so cute. Just kind of carefully pressing things into place. All right, let's see. There we go. Oh, thanks, Gwen. All right, so we're gonna push that down. While that's getting pushed down, let me grab, ooh, I got some pre-cut strips of foam adhesive. I think I'm gonna use those. So let's go in, do that behind our sentiment strip. What I like is that it's very easy that if you don't want to already trim it down, there's such thin strips that it's just nice and easy. So we're just gonna cut, and cut. Awesome. And then we're gonna use, you don't have to do too much for her. She'll be an easy one to just do little strips with. All right. She doesn't need too much. Maybe I'll do a little bit for her feet. Oh, come on. There we go. Start mapping it out. So we're gonna put him over here. I think that's what we decided on. See, now I'm like, or does he look cuter over there? Oh, he does kind of look cute right there. Okay, maybe we're gonna separate them. That's okay. Little foam square, where are you coming from? All right, sorry for my quiet. We're gonna gently put her into place right there. And then we're going to get him into place. Get your hustle on. No, not right there. Wait. Just kind of nestle it between the two of them. Just like this. That's adorable. Okay. But I do want to dress this up a little bit as well. So I do have some of the Prism enamel dots that I want to use to really make things pop. So let's go in a yellow, and an orange, and a green. Just kind of push them around a little bit. Just like that. All right. And then I put these in the identical order that I did on the others. That's weird. Let's move them around. That's what I love about using it on pattern paper, is that the paper texture allows you to kind of swap things a bit. All right, so we're gonna put this over there. That way it kind of changes things up. All right, and then maybe one more. A little orange one. Right here. Just like that. All right. There we go. So this was super easy and super fun to put together. I don't think that this has too many steps. I also love, I don't see any of the vellum with the glue. So I think we did a good job with that die cut. So, okay, so let's go over everything that we used to put this card together. We used the Stay Wild stamp set for our 2 images and for our sentiments. We used the Wild Word die as well, which we had ink blended. We used the Card Basics set to die cut out the Welcome to the Jungle paper in this print. And then we used the Sentiment Banners dies in order to get our Sentiment Banner for Get Your Hustle on. And we finished it off with some Prism enamel dots. And y'all, this is adorable. I love how this turned out. I love tapping into jungle stuff, like jungle themed projects. Okay, so when I was planning this, my backup idea, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, but I was thinking about doing like a cityscape of like where these 2 are located. I had like 3 ideas, and I was like, this was the first one that I had kind of settled on because I thought it was very approachable for a Facebook Live. I knew I could get this done in a reasonable amount of time. We're just at the hour mark in about a minute and a couple seconds. I thought it would be really cool to like layer the city die, but also to use the amusement park border die like behind it, because the realm that these 2 live in, their skyline is kind of whimsical, and I thought it would be fun to play off of that with layering the 2 different together, with using the city skyline, but then behind it sort of making it with the circles and the loopiness of the amusement park die. So that was my first thought. That was my second thought. My third thought is using the Career Day police set to color up the police car, and to put these 2 together with the police car. And I didn't know if I wanted to do that with the city skyscape on their own, but lots of different options for how you can use these sets and combine them, since it's older, with some of the newer products that came out after the set was made. But yeah, we combined it with the new Welcome to the Jungle paper and the Wild die cut. I love how big this Wild die cut is as well. It takes up your whole card, and there's really some fun things that you can do with it. But thank you so very much for stopping by tonight. It's the afternoon. Oh my goodness, I need a nap. But thank you so much for stopping by. This is my last live for April, which shouldn't be too much of a shock since it's April 27th. I will be back next month with more Facebook Lives to share some inspiration with y'all. Also, too, if you want even more inspiration, I know I brought it up in the beginning, but maybe we've got some new people who stopped by. Don't forget that we are doing our Zany retreat. It's being held at the very end of June, last Saturday of June. I want to say it's the 29th, but registration will be closing soon. So if that's something on your docket that you're thinking you may want to do, Audra does have 2 different payment options available if you want to register. Of course, you can pay in full, or you can make 1 installment on your registration and then make your final payment on, I believe it's by June 1st is when you can pay it by, but I'm not 100% certain. All the details are listed on the post. There are those 2 payment options. It is 2 6x8 stamp sets, y'all. It is 2 big sets, dies, pattern paper, sequin mixes, so many classes. I want to say that we've calculated that it's going to be like at least 7 or 8 or more hours of class, and that's not including my coloring tutorial. So you're going to get a boatload of inspiration with the retreat. So be sure to sign up if you haven't yet. Thank you everyone who stopped by today. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Christy. You guys are all fantastic. If I missed your name, I do greatly apologize. You know I love you all being here. It's going to be zany, Gwen. It's going to be a zany retreat. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday, y'all, and I will see you real soon. Bye.